Hello, everyone. Welcome to your Wednesday. Welcome to Game Time with Eric Connert, live from the News 8 Right Now studios. Today, we have a championship-winning high school volleyball coach on the show to dive into everything that's so important about youth sports right now. We're talking about culture, commitment, igniting competition, pushing limits for student athletes, game and season preparation, the mindset, the mental game, and the academic and life balance as kids are heading back into class. Some are already in class right now, as is in the South Bay where this awesome coach teaches. So can't wait to chat with her. And we also have some breaking news out of North County where Front Wave's new hockey team in Oceanside there just given a new name, and we now know when that season's going to start. Plus an update on Sweetwater Valley Little League out of Bonita. Their 12U All-Star team just won the SoCal State Championship. What's next for that team? And I'll share some memories of coaching All-Stars and even playing Sweetwater. They're a great squad, so congratulations to them. Also, taking a look at the Padres' new roster as they remain very close to a wild card spot. One game out. More on the new faces joining the Padres. A.J. Preller adding some decent arms before the trade deadline. But first, from diving into bleachers as a player to lifting championship trophies as a coach, she knows what it takes to build a winner from the ground up. At Olympian High, she didn't just rebuild a program, she brought back the blueprint, discipline, grit, and unmatched competitive edge. She's an educator, a champion, and a master at molding the next generation of athletes. Joining us right now is the architect of the culture, Olympian High volleyball coach, Yvette Macias. Nice to see you again, Coach. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
We talked a lot about, over the past year or so, about culture and commitment. You guys were hoisting that championship trophy. You played at Olympian, took some time away after you graduated, did your thing for a bit. You had a calling to come back, right? And you brought that blueprint. You won that trophy, that championship. Let's talk about culture. That it's just a phrase overly used, I feel like, that people don't even truly understand how important that is to building a program. Can you touch on that?
It's extremely important. I mean, at the end of the day, if the kids do not want to come into this gym and work hard, then you won't get the outcome that you are looking for. So I take pride in really building relationships with my students. Again, I work on campus, so it's really easy for me to see a majority of my students every single day, asking them how they're doing, not just on the volleyball court, but outside. What's going on at home, what's going on in their own personal lives, and also as a coach being vulnerable. I think that's a really big part about building relationships with them.
Yeah, about a half a year ago, you and I met. We told the story about your success and everything. And I remember, and your players certainly remember one of your mantras: to compete to win, you must be disciplined, right? Yes. In an era of instant gratification, how do you actually build a culture where kids are willing to buy into the hard, unglamorous discipline that goes into winning?
If I'm being honest, I feel like it has to deal with the kids having to push through that mental barrier. I feel like right now, a lot of the young generation gives up really easily when things get hard, and handling adversity is hard for a lot of these students. So I feel like with my expertise, I'm able to see, physically, can kids do it, or is it a mental barrier? And I really just focus on encouraging them and pushing them. I am a tough love coach, but again, you're not really able to give that tough love without that mutual respect from the students, from the athletes. So I always try to really push them past what they really think they can do. Mainly we do that physically because I do feel, conditioning and all that, the hard drills, that is truly what pushes past the mental barrier.
That's funny because I've been described as a tough love coach too. So no wonder why we get along so well. Yes. Every youth coach struggles with getting kids fully committed beyond just showing up to practice. That's the easy part. But mentally staying locked in. What's your strategy for getting the young athletes to truly buy into a collective team goal, whether it's to win another championship or just to win this tournament that we're in?
We take the time to really sit down and talk about what individual goals they have as players, but also what team goals they have. Because at the end of the day, we can say that our team goal is to win a championship, but we have to talk about what steps are we going to take, what mini goals are we going to set in order to get to that big goal. So we really take the time throughout the season, beginning, middle, preseason even, beginning, middle, and end, to really hone in on those small goals so that we're able to really execute the big goal.
I saw you as a libero leaping into the bleachers to get balls. I mean, there was nothing stopping you. But that's so important to your coaching days now, right? So your own history as a player, how does that shape how you connect with today's generation of kids? There's so many, I think, coaches out there that maybe really haven't gone through the struggle. They're just there kind of scratching the surface, but you live this. Does that help you connect with them?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm a born and raised South Bay kid. I have not left. And again, I went to Olympian High School, so I experienced all of those things. I experienced it as a travel volleyball player. And again, I had tough coaches that truly cared about me and my team. And so just relaying that back to this generation of athletes, knowing that your coaches do care, they just want the best out of you. And that truly comes from, again, building the relationships with them and continuing to push them and have them trust you to do that.
Yeah, we just saw you laying out for a ball there in that video. That's pretty awesome. Look, there's a fine line when we talk about coaching balance and pushing the limits here. There's a fine line in youth sports between pushing a kid to unlock their potential and then pushing them until they burn out or they quit. I know you know how to do the balance. A lot of coaches don't, though, so let's talk about that. How do you find that sweet spot as a coach?
Again, it truly goes down to really talking to the kids and seeing where they're at. So if I know I can see when my kids walk into the gym and they have all this energy and they're ready to go, or some days where they're coming after a long day of 8 hours of school, just like I'm coming out from teaching, and we're all tired. We all need to take the mental reset, the breath work. Maybe we'll just lay off on the hard practice and we'll meet and we'll talk about our goals, or we'll do breath work. But I really have noticed that these kids writing things down, I have got journals for them that they each individually have that they document things from different days. Truly just having them sit down and feel those feelings and helping them work through it, because at the end of the day, they're athletes, but they're still young women. They're still young men that we have to teach to handle those emotions and feelings that they have.
I love that. And they're all so different, right? I mean, some take to that discipline better, that team culture better. How do you break through to a player that maybe not buying into everything in the start of the season? You have to kind of chisel away at them a little bit, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our off-season program is 5 weeks long. They go 5 days a week. They got conditioning. They have volleyball touches. And a lot of kids at the beginning were definitely like, why are we conditioning so much? Why are we doing all of this? And honestly, I do it with them. So I feel like that's a big thing that gets those kids motivated is my coach is going to go out there and run with me. My coach is going to run the mile. She's going to do the bleachers with us. She's going to lift the weights. Showing them that everything that I'm asking them to do, I'm going to do right there with them, I feel like is a big connection that I have with those kids to really help them buy into that.
I love that. When the kids are, messing up or something and I make them do push-ups or whatever, when they make a great play, then I'm doing the push-ups, right? I want them to know I'm buying in too. So yes. I love the buy-in part because it really is lead by example. So that's a great example of why you're such a successful coach. We're going to be right back with Coach Macias here in just a moment to discuss mindset, the mental game. We touched on it a little bit here, but we almost want to dive into academics, the life balance for student athletes. That's all coming up here after a quick break. More game time when we continue. Welcome back to Game Time with Eric Connert. I'm back with Coach Yvette Macias from Olympian High Volleyball. Diving into some really great topics here, Coach. I want to dive into the mindset a little bit more, the mental game. Volleyball, sports in general, they move fast. Mistakes happen all the time. How are you teaching your young athletes to develop short-term memory so a bad play doesn't ruin their entire game? I try to use the word flush it, right? Just move on. How do you do that?
I actually loved watching the show Ted Lasso with my mom, actually.
Yeah.
And I used the goldfish method a lot these past couple seasons because goldfish only have a 1 second memory span, I believe, something like that.
That's true.
So really just reminding my kids, like, you guys are goldfish. At one point, my kids are drawing a little goldfish on their wrists before games just to kind of remind themselves, like, hey, everything has to be let go. Every play is a new play. Volleyball is a game of mistakes. And I always make practice harder. I try to make practice harder than what the game would be. So they have to understand if practice is hard, then when we get in game, then we're ready to go.
I love that. Confidence is so important right there when they're out in the court for baseball, football, whatever the sport may be. There's a difference between cockiness and confidence, but I tell my players I want them to almost meet in the middle, right? You don't want them to be too cocky, but you want them to have so much confidence they're kind of in that like middle line. So how do you help young athletes build that unshakable confidence without letting them, split into complacency after a big win or a streak of success that they may have?
It's funny that you say that because I tell my kids all the time, there's a difference between cocky and confident. And I agree with you. There has to be somewhere in the middle because you have to have that grit and that fire. Mm-hmm. To be honest with you, I've come to terms over the last few years that I have to be my kids' biggest cheerleader. Anytime they're doing something well, I have to give them their flowers. Even if it may not have looked pretty, even if it may not have been the play that I exactly wanted, when they know that I'm going to be happy for them and encourage them and support them no matter what, I feel like that helps build their confidence. Obviously, kids need the support from parents, the support from their teammates, but being that I'm the one that they're building the main relationship with during the season, I have to be their biggest cheerleader at all times.
Yeah, and that's awesome because look, they're under a lot of pressure, right? You know, my son's going into a freshman year of high school. I remember a lot of the pressure with academics and sports, and you know, it can be kind of a monster for a lot of kids. They face immense pressure. They've got parents, they've got social media, they've got themselves that they can be hard on. Your advice on helping young athletes quiet that external noise and just kind of play freely?
If I'm being honest, definitely no phones in the gym.
Right. Yeah.
As soon as they step into that gym, that phone needs to be put away, unless obviously it's an emergency.
Yeah.
But once they're able to really disconnect, I feel as though that's when you find the kids really diving into what they need to do. But it may take a second. It may take a second to really have them flip that switch and know that, okay, we're at practice. It's time to lock in. It's time to get ready for game time. And I remind my kids that every practice prepares you for a game. So if you practice like you're not going to go into a game, that's going to translate into a game. So we practice every single time like it's game time.
I want to talk about academics and life balance. You're busy. You're a full-time PE teacher. You're a head coach. And your expectations are high this year after how well you did last year. We talked about that a little bit. So the balance, being a full-time teacher, a head coach, what are your expectations when it comes to the student part of being a student athlete? How do you hold them accountable in the classroom? I know you have a set GPA. How are you making sure that they achieve the student component?
We are checking their grades on a weekly to bi-weekly basis. Wow. And when we have our preseason meeting, which I just had yesterday with my kids, I let them know that if they are struggling in any class, I am a resource. I'm on campus. I can talk to the tutors. I can talk to the teachers to see what they need. My varsity kids have study hall, so they're required to be there for an hour of study hall. They can't tell me they didn't have time to do their homework because they had the time. Our young kids practice early so that they're able to get off and go and eat, good, do homework, and rest. And again, I'm also the type of coach where if a kid tells me, Coach, I have a big AP test, I need to go study, go study. They're student athletes first, and at the end of the day, if they're not eligible, then they can't play. So the focus does need to be the student first, and I try to give as many opportunities as I can to help them. I may not be the best at math, but I can go and reach out to that tutor to help them out.
I love that. Time management skills so important to their academic and their athletic success. They're juggling school, sports. They have their own social life. I mean, they can get a little burned out. What lessons from the court do you try to instill in them that translate directly to managing life outside of sports? Because really, as coaches, that's what our goal is to make these kids strong human beings, young leaders of tomorrow, right?
I try to remind my kids that, especially my kiddos that may not be playing all the time, that these experiences you have to take outside of the court, and all those life lessons go deeper than just volleyball. I know I wouldn't be who I am without all the life lessons I've learned. So reminding them, even pausing drills, is to tell them, what are you learning here? What are you able to take outside of here? When we have group meetings and we're talking about, our goals and our expectations, we also relate it to how can this impact you outside of the volleyball court. So really just diving deep on big questions that make them think deeper, that can push them outside of the volleyball court.
I can't let you leave here unless you give us your advice, because you know what you're doing. Your advice to parents, and even to young coaches who are out there trying to navigate raising resilient, hardworking kids in today's sports landscape. What would your advice be?
My advice to parents is definitely, you work closely with your coach, but your child's coach, but you really have to trust your coaches. We also have to go through our learning curves of figuring out how to cater to different students. Parents are there to support. Number one supporters for their kids, but not just their kids, the entire program. The parents also have to be bought into the program and trust the decisions that the coaches are making, because if not, that can disrupt the chemistry that is being built on the court. So I always have my preseason meeting with my parents. I'm having one tonight, which I'm preparing for, and I let parents know. I'm very transparent and honest with the parents about what my intentions are, what I expect. All my kids have specific roles. Parents have specific roles. I try to be as clear as possible about it so there's no confusion. But I build that transparent communication over the offseason with parents so that in season it's game time, it's volleyball focused, and the parents know exactly what we're trying to do.
You're the best, Coach Macias. Thanks for coming on the show here. You could be coaching right now someone 10 years from now who could come back and coach Olympian volleyball, just like your story, right?
That'd be amazing.
History could repeat itself.
Yes.
Thanks again, and good luck this fall. You guys are ready. You got your roster chosen?
We finished tryouts on Monday. Team is ready to go. They're looking really good.
Was that good for a two-peat?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, let us know how you guys do. We'll keep everyone posted as well. Thank you, Coach Macias, for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Hey, coming up here, the North County hockey team just announced the name for the new squad, and the Sweetwater Valley Little League 12U All-Stars are state champs. What's next for this group from Bonita? And the new names on the Padres roster. Who's coming? Who's going? After the Padres trade deadline has come and gone. Game Time returns right after this. Hey, welcome back to Game Time with Eric Connor. We have some breaking sports news to tell you about. Get ready for a massive shakeup in North County. The wait is over. North County's first professional hockey team officially has a new name. It is the Oceanside Shock. What do you think of the name? They're competing as single A minor pro team in the FPHL. That's their logo. What do you think? Yeah, octopus. Looks like it's got a little shock factor or the stick there. Competing as a single A minor pro in the FPHL under head coach Craig Carlisle with Stanley Cup winning coach Randy Carlisle assisting. They're bringing electrifying plays, shocking moments, and a season that'll make waves at Front Wave Arena. Beyond the action on the ice, the Shock are set to deliver major economic impact for local businesses and hospitality. The arena's new permanent ice infrastructure will also spark massive growth for youth hockey, creating grassroots clinics and player mentorship right here in our backyard. Social media users, I checked this out a bit. They're a bit mixed on the name. One user saying, cool logo, but why Shock? For a jellyfish mascot, they sting. Good point. Another simply says, dope logo and mascot. Catch their electric inaugural home opener on Saturday, October 10th. Also new, an update on the All-Star Little League playoffs. Sweetwater Valley has been crowned the 12U All-Stars Little League champions once again. This team's amazing. UT saying that thanks to this dominant performance from right-hander Noah Kirk, who allowed just 2 hits over 5 1/3 innings, the District 42 powerhouse shut out Encino 9-0 to capture the Southern California Little League Championship. Finishing the tournament undefeated, the Bonita-based team claims the state championship for the 2nd year in a row. Sweetwater Valley now advancing to the West Region Tournament. Opening play this Sunday against San Ramon Valley. They're the NorCal state champs. Arizona and Hawaii are also in the West Region. Look, I've been an All-Stars coach. I've seen how talented Sweetwater teams are. These guys are always good, always solid pitching, always clean baseball, well-coached, and good kids. As for how big of a deal this is, last year my son went to the Juniors West Regionals in Bend, Oregon. They played teams like Hawaii, Arizona, Utah, Alaska. So win or lose for these Sweetwater kids, this will be one of their favorite sports memories ever. Good luck to that team. If they win the West Region, then guess what? They go to the Little League World Series. Pretty cool, huh? Hey, from the Little Leagues now to the big leagues. In the MLB, a relatively quiet trade deadline for the Padres, at least by A.J. Preller's standards. Just 2 big moves by the Friars. Perhaps you've heard about them. They're going to fill a giant gap in their lineup. Preller addressing the Padres' biggest need, starting pitching. The first trade that Preller made was acquiring left-handed starter Robbie Ray from the Giants for 2 of the Padres' top 10 prospects. The 34-year-old Ray won the 2021 AL Cy Young Award. He's been red hot lately, posting a 1.09 ERA over his last 8 starts. That's incredible. Ray also has the 2nd best ERA in all of baseball since June 1st, posting a 1.65 since then. And AJ wasn't done filling the rotation. Final moments of the deadline, Padres traded for starting pitcher Casey Mize from the Tigers. Mize, a former #1 overall pick back in 2018. This season, in 16 starts, 2.7 ERA and 86.2 innings pitched. The Padres sent Cash Mayfield and Jackson Wolf to Detroit in the deal. San Diego also acquired infielder Gage Workman from the Tigers in that deal. After Monday's game in Arizona, Padres reacted to the trade. Listen.
Really good starter, him and Robbie both. I mean, Robbie just pitched against us and he dominated us. It's good to have him on our side now. And obviously, Casey's having an incredible year, and he's been awesome for these last 5-6 years.
Definitely adding 2 guys of that caliber. Guys that, as I said, guys that have been pretty good for a minute in the big leagues. Definitely boosts everyone in class.
AJ wants to win more than anybody else. That's just who he is, and I think when he has the opportunity to go out and acquire good talent and good players, I think he's going to do it.
Now, the one catch Mize and Ray are rental players, meaning their contract will expire at the end of the year. Padres last night, they won and win this game by a couple of runs. Jackson Merrill, Xander Bogaerts had a couple of nice hits out there. Final in this one, Arizona. Padres 9, Diamondbacks 4. And we know the Padres' newest pitchers will make their first start. Former Detroit Tiger Casey Mize taking on the mound today as the Padres take on the Diamondbacks again. Ex-Giant Robbie Ray scheduled to start this Friday. That game is set for 6:40 here at Petco Park against the Houston Astros. Taking another quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Game Time with Eric Connerton. Here's one you don't see every day with Gavin Williams pitching a perfect game this past Sunday. Tim Tawa, get this, tried to bunt his way on to break up the perfect game. Baseball etiquette says that is a big no-no, and yes, forgive the pun there. So the teams predictably disagreed over it and emptied the benches to hash it out. Unpredictably, the teams did this as rain came down and the grounds crew was trying to get the tarp on the field. Pretty good mix of baseball-related anger and weather-related angst, all rolling into one there. Well, thanks for joining us. That's going to do it for Game Time with Eric Connerton. Hope you have a great rest of your day, everyone. Thanks for being here.